3939 West Highland Boulevard. Miller Coors for active shooter. One person shot. A copy. Is the scene safe? It's currently not confirmed as a safe scene.
Emergency radio traffic captured the chaotic moments as police and fire crews responded to the scene of a deadly shooting at Molson Coors in Milwaukee. Authorities confirm 6 people are dead, including the suspect.
Police got the call to the scene about 2 this afternoon, and authorities say the suspect was a 51-year-old Milwaukee man who had killed himself. All 5 victims were Molson Coors employees.
This is still an active investigation. Milwaukee police just gave an update moments ago for the second time tonight.
Let's listen here.
But we are grieving. The families are grieving. The union brothers and sisters are grieving. Our city is grieving. And our state is grieving.
The suspect, a 51-year-old Milwaukee man who was found deceased inside one of the buildings. The suspect was an employee of Molson Coors and died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Milwaukee Police Department officers located 5 deceased adult victims who were located inside the same building. Each one of the victims worked for Molson Coors. It should be noted that no members of the general public were involved. The victims' identities will not be released to the public today.
The chief says the victims' families are flying in from out of town and out of respect will protect the victims' identities while the families gather to mourn.
NBC 26's Ryan Curry is live in Milwaukee tonight with the latest right now. Ryan?
Yeah, John and Nina, good evening. You just heard moments ago that press conference wrapping up where city officials backtracking the events that happened earlier this afternoon. Again, this investigation still very much ongoing. Police are going to piece together the events that did lead up. You heard there that they did confirm the suspect was an employee of Molson Coors, and this investigation, just mentioned, very much so ongoing. I'll step aside here so you can see what the scene looks like now, hours after the events that unfolded earlier this afternoon. There are still a couple squad cars on this corner of central Milwaukee, all of them circling the building, still having a good perimeter as they again continue to piece together the events that happened early this afternoon. A sad day for the city of Milwaukee.
This is a tragic day for our city. This is a tragic day for our state.
Police officers stormed the area of west central Milwaukee this afternoon after reports of an active shooter on the Molson Coors campus. That shooter took the lives of 5 people before turning the gun on himself.
At this time, we have located 5 additional deceased adult victims. The victims all worked at Molson Coors, and no members of the general public were involved.
Authorities say around 1,000 workers were on the complex during the time of the shooting. And throughout the day, they went through over 20 buildings trying to account for everyone working that day. The investigation still ongoing as authorities continue to piece together the events of Wednesday afternoon. But one thing is certain, this is a tragic day for southern Wisconsin.
It's a terrible day for Milwaukeeans, and I pass on my condolences to the families of the employees of Miller.
And back here now live in Milwaukee, several cars have actually been leaving this intersection away from the building. Those are believed to be employees who have now finally been given the okay that they can go home tonight. Around 1,000 employees had been in this building when those events unfolded early this afternoon. They went through over 20 buildings and recently clearing them away from the scene right now. All of them have been accounted for. The only victims, they say, were those 6 that happened earlier. The investigation still very much so ongoing. We'll be updating you here on NBC 26 when we know more information. Live in Milwaukee, Ryan Curry, NBC 26.
Ryan, thank you. Certainly thinking of all of those families affected. And this evening, President Trump spoke about what happened in Milwaukee.
And I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to the victims and families in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Earlier today, a wicked murderer opened fire at a Molson Coors Brewing Company plant, taking the lives of 5 people. A number of people were wounded, some badly wounded. Our hearts break for them and their loved ones.
And the president making those comments at the beginning of a